All right, next up is the Stanford Cardinal. First year as a member of the ACC last year, same thing as their last three and as a member of the Pac-12. They have now had a 3-9 record in 4 straight seasons, which is their worst 4-year stretch since 1958 to 1961. You see that guy right there, Andrew Luck on the left, obviously a legend at Stanford. He was the number 1 overall pick in the draft by the Colts. He was hired as Stanford's new general manager. One of his first acts, he fired head coach Troy Taylor. What did he do after that? He brought in his former head coach at the NFL level and Frank Reich, who is now the interim head coach for Stanford right now. He was Luck's head coach during his final full season with the Indianapolis Colts in 2019. Reich was an NFL head coach for 6 years. He needs to work some magic, though, because this Stanford offense right now struggled last year, and they just lost their quarterback, and their top 2 wide receivers were really good players, in my opinion, too. So I have question marks for that right now. But Dalton, at least on defense, they have some solid players there.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at this team, you've got a back 7 that at least reasonably could keep them in games, right? You're talking about Colin Wright at corner. You're talking about Hunter Barth, who's a solid coverage linebacker. And this team, look, there's not a whole lot, obviously, we can take from, they're in a big transitional period right now, but I think the idea for this defense is going to be, as with a lot of teams trying to climb their way out of the cellar, keep us in games, right? Just keep us in games. I think Colin Wright in that secondary especially can do that. We saw them pull a couple of big upsets last year against a couple of pretty good passing games in Syracuse and Louisville, getting stops when they needed to, right? I know you didn't want me to bring that one up, but I had to not. You've said a lot of.
Could have been the ACC title game if they didn't lose that game.
You're darn right. I mean, but I
don't
look,
talk about it.
But I think Stanford, look, they're going to try to build this defense this year from the back end up. They lost obviously the best pass rusher in David Bailey, who was an elite pass rusher. Try to win through coverage and keep yourself in the game.
Definitely. Now the question is, offensively, where is the offense going to come from? So last year they were 119th in PFF grade. They lost their starting quarterback and their top 2 receivers. Ashton Daniels, their quarterback, is now at Auburn, probably the backup quarterback at Auburn this year. And then you lose Alec Ayumanner, who was taken in the 4th round by the Tennessee Titans. Could have been a higher pick, and we actually interviewed him on the channel if you want to check it out. He could have been a 2nd-round pick, in my opinion. Other one, Emmett Mosley, the 5th, had a really impressive true freshman year at Stanford. He's now at Texas now, though, too. So a lot of question marks on this offense right now. It's been a problem for them in recent years and why Stanford's had their worst 4-year stretch since 1958 to 1961. New quarterback now, though, Dalton, and Elijah Brown, who was a former 4-star recruit out of high school. What should we know about him?
We think the favorite's Elijah Brown. There's also UCF transfer Dylan Risk. There's also Oregon State transfer Ben Gulbranson. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see all 3 of them. They had Bear Buckmeyer, another 4-star recruit who recently transferred in the spring to BYU, and maybe he's a factor in that job. But look, Elijah Brown, he's got 61 career dropbacks. He played a little bit last year. He's a pocket passer with a classic kind of over-the-top deliveries, exactly what you would expect Frank Reich would want in a quarterback. So maybe he is the favorite, especially as the young kind of ray of hope starting there. It's just, I think to me, he's got to play with better awareness in the pocket. Now, Stanford's pass protection was not very good last year, so he's under pressure a lot. It's going to be the factor of, do they want to expose Brown to that sort of environment again if their offensive line isn't great, or would they rather go with one of the veterans in Risk or Gulbranson? Either way, out of all 3 of them, you're getting pocket passers. Brown is just the youngest one with the highest ceiling, but he was pressured on almost half his dropbacks last season when he was out there. Just, you can't have that. You got to protect a young kid better than that.
Yeah, he was a true freshman last year at Stanford, checking his recruiting ranking right now, but he former 4-star recruit, the number 17 quarterback in the country in 2024. So, talented kid, like I said, 4-star. Just see what he could do probably as a redshirt freshman as a starting quarterback this year. Offensive player spotlight can't be Ayumanner or Emmett Mosley because they're both gone. So they brought in a transfer receiver, and David Pantelis transferring in from Yale. So it goes from one elite academic institution in Yale to another one in Stanford now. And he was a really reliable receiver for the Yale Bulldogs last year. He was 25th among all receivers in the FCS last year with an 83.9 receiving grade. He's 5'11". He's 195 pounds, so basically average size. He plays far, far bigger than that, though. He caught 10 of his 17 contested targets last year, some outrageous catches on David Pantelis' tape. And like I mentioned, with Alec Ayamander gone, with Emmett Mosley the fifth gone too, Pantelis should be the top weapon for Elijah Brown or whoever plays quarterback for Stanford next year.
Got to be somebody, especially somebody. Look, if you can make contested catches like that and your quarterback can trust you to win those 50-50 battles, that's big time. That's a guy you need. It's what they had in Ayamander the last couple of years now. If Pantelis can do it here, then it gives a jolt to the passing game.
So, Dalton, last year when we previewed Stanford, our defensive player spotlight was Colin Wright. Our defensive player spotlight this year is Colin Wright.
One of the few holdovers, that's for sure, and we're entering a new era of Stanford football with Andrew Luck at the helm. But Colin Wright is one who's sticking around from the old regime, right? And another solid season. He had a 74 in 2023, 72 PFF grade last year, 3 interceptions, 5 pass breakups. Played a lot more in the nickel last year. He played in the outside the vast majority of his snaps last year, about half and half between the outside and the slot, even playing in the box a little bit more. So maybe preparing him even for the NFL to play in the nickel, a little bit 6 foot, 195 pounds, gets to the football, physical football player. I think Colin Wright, you look at again as the standout in this secondary and the leader of it now going into his 4th year at Stanford.
Yes, 78.6 PFF grade over the last 2 years, 75 plus grades as a coverage defender and as a run defender too. So he's a really solid player in that Stanford defense. All right, Dalton, win total for Stanford is set at 3.5 right now. So basically 4 straight 3-9 seasons. Will it be 3-9 again or worse, or will they finally get to the 4-win mark with Frank Reich?
This is. I think this is going to take some time. I'm going under there again. I just think. Actually, I look at this schedule. This is one of the harder ACC schedules we're looking at.
It's unforgiving, yeah.
Notre Dame, Miami, SMU, Pitt, at North Carolina for an East Coast trip, at Virginia for an East Coast trip, at BYU out of conference. Even to be honest with you, at Hawaii out of conference is still a long ways for whoever gets to go out there, even from the West Coast. I'm going to take the under. There's just so much we don't know about this team is really the best way to put it. And whether it's one of those other veterans who really didn't do much for their other schools, or it's Elijah Brown as a young kid, I mean, Andrew Luck, I think, is building this program from scratch.
Yeah.
And scratch is right about now.
Yeah. Frank Reich, I like as head coach, but he's the interim head coach. It's not like he's a long-term guy there either. Notre Dame is one of their out-of-conference games. I don't know if you saw this, Dalton. They're not even favored in Week 0 against Hawaii. Hawaii is favored over Stanford.
I mean,
right
at Hawaii, Hawaii's still got that weird thing where when you're at Hawaii, you're still in for a little bit. You're in for a ball game because of the travel and Hawaii's not a bad football team by any means. It's just it's one of those. They have heavy home road split, and when you're at Hawaii, that's tough. So, I mean, if they're not even favored in the Hawaii game, they're probably an underdog in every game on the schedule. Then.
Yeah. BYU's got a quarterback dilemma, too, so maybe that could be an interesting one.
Well, if it's Bear Bachmeier, then you've got the weird – which I don't know if it will be or not, if it's McKay Hillstead or you watch the BYU video for that one. But if the ironic part is that was Bear Bachmeier, that would be a tough look, too.
But even if you beat Hawaii, BYU, which I don't think they will, and San Jose State, even if you win all 3 of those games, you still have to win one of your ACC games too.
I'm not taking them to beat BYU.
That's what I'm saying.
Even in their current state, I'm not. Yeah.
So then after that, it's like, who do they beat in the ACC?
And San Jose State is also a decent football team.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, you get into the territory, even though it's a Power 5 team in Stanford, or Power 4 team in Stanford, where you go. Oh, there's even like these group of 5 games where it's shaky.
Literally Hawaii's favorite already.
This is a long-term project.
Yeah.
And even Frank Reich being the interim coach, and maybe he becomes a permanent head coach. I don't know if that's ever going to be in the cards, depending on how this year goes and the culture. But Andrew Luck's trying to shake up the culture here and figure out long-term what this program is supposed to look like.
Definitely. So sorry, Zach Zimmerman, but could be another rocky year for Stanford in 2025. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.